So you've spent all this time writing a song, then recording it, then mixing and mastering it, spending so much time making sure every little detail was perfect. And it's finally time to release it. So you set a release date, you post on social media, you tell your friends and your family about it, you finally release, and crickets. That big spike in streams and Spotify followers you were hoping for just did not happen. Well, here at Full Circle, I get the pleasure of working with artists every day and helping them with this exact problem. How do you get people to not only stream your music, but to become a recurring monthly listener on your Spotify? Well, you think the simple answer would be to make good music, and as nice as that would be, it just is not the case that you have good music and you expect the world to just find it on its own. It's not if you build it, they will come. So I came up with my top 9 tips for gaining a Spotify following that our artists use every day. Be sure to stick around for every tip, as each one is going to be building on the previous one, making sure that you get the most out of these tools. All right, number 1, optimize your Spotify artist page. Think of every time you found a song that you liked on Spotify. So you click on the artist page to see who they are, and I bet within seconds you can tell if they are a major artist or not, just by the design of their Spotify page. Luckily, you don't need to be a major artist to have your Spotify page look like you are one. How? Get your Spotify artist profile verified. Set your artist pick to reflect your new release. Create artist playlists that will feature your songs and other related artists and moods. And encourage your fans to follow those ones too. Have high quality artist photos, especially the ones that are specific to a certain release or release branding. Make sure your bio is well written and up to date. Use the Spotify Canvas feature, which allows you to have a short looping video clip when people click on your song. All of this is going to be the difference in your listeners taking you seriously as an artist. Tip number 2, consistently release great music every 4 to 6 weeks. Why? The Spotify algorithm likes this and will get you more chances of being put onto users' release radar and algorithmic playlists. The quality has to be top-notch. Let me tell you a quick story about one of our rising star students who we've worked with in our academy. His name is Brian Bolivar, and he started out with 0 Spotify views not too long ago, and today he has nearly 20,000 monthly listeners and millions of streams by doing exactly this strategy and being consistent. It takes discipline, but follow Brian's example if you want results like him. Now, this may seem a bit overwhelming, but some of these songs can be covers or alternate versions of other songs that you already released, like remixes or acoustic versions. Consistently putting out great music is your best shot of keeping the Spotify algorithm engaged. Tip number 3, build an audience and tell them in advance of a release. Why? The key to Spotify's algorithm is having a song release and having it immediately blow up. That can only happen with an effective marketing strategy. If you release a song and it starts getting multiple listeners that day, Spotify will recognize that and start pushing your song towards a similar audience. Luckily, we have a great marketing team here at Full Circle who post great content on how to market your music. So we will post some links to those videos in the description below. But to make sure you really understand what it should look like to effectively market your music, I will tell you that if you are marketing a song correctly, you are essentially collecting a pool of people and building anticipation for your release, to where once you finally release, they all jump on Spotify and stream your song. I'm sure this should be familiar to you, as we have probably all been fans marking a calendar when our favorite artist lets us know about a release. Building an audience is going to ultimately be the thing that will give you a platform to release music to. It's not done overnight, and many artists, including Jordana Bryant, who we work with, who have racked up over 100,000 Instagram followers and millions of YouTube views, have achieved this audience by releasing and promoting great covers of other artists. This was how she started. Now that she has that audience built up, Now that she's done all those covers and built those fans, any original music she has will be that much more listened to. Just to reiterate, I can't say this enough, audience first, original music second. All right, next tip, engage your followers with social media and email. Why? Because the more engaged your followers are, the better your response will be when you are telling them to check out your new song. So to piggyback on point number 3, social media is going to be one of the main avenues that you're going to build your audience on. I highly recommend building your own email list on top of social media. And ultimately, this may be a little bit contrarian, but the email list is going to be even more valuable over the long run, as it's a list that you actually own and control, unlike being privy to the whims of the Instagram or TikTok algorithm. Now, in 2021, TikTok is the biggest needle mover for artists, and it can be the quickest way to blow up an artist's career overnight with no followers and very little money. It does take a lot of time, and I highly recommend you going back and watching the video that we put out from Cooper Allen, who's a great country artist, and he talks about how to build a massive TikTok following, and he knows, because today he's up over 3 million followers. I can tell you from direct experience with having very little editorial playlisting, artists like Cooper Allen or like Sam Tenez, who I work with, have built massive Spotify profiles and numbers largely without Spotify playlist support. For Cooper, it's been about leveraging the power of social media, TikTok to be specific. For Sam, it's been a lot about doing collabs and having his music synced on film and TV spots. I'll talk about doing collabs later on in tip number 9. Next tip, paid advertising. I'm talking about Facebook and Instagram. Drive people to listen to your Spotify. Have a daily budget, even if it's just $5. Paid traffic is very important. Now, this is a great way to market a release, but it's also a great way to drive listeners to your already released music. We highly recommend that you try this out for a week and see if you gain any traction from this, and I bet you will. You'll be surprised. Facebook ads can be tricky. The big thing is that you want to make sure you're putting the ads on the right person's screen. And nowadays with Facebook and Instagram, you probably have to pay some ad budget to even get in front of the people who already chose to follow you. It sucks, but that's how it is. It just is how it is. You want to get smart with targeting and learning how the ad platforms work to make them work to your advantage. Now, I'm mainly talking about Facebook and Instagram ads here. We will be posting a video on exactly how to do this as an artist, so if you're interested in running Facebook and Instagram ads for a song release, be sure to check out the description below for a link to that tutorial. It'll help you become a Facebook ads ninja. Paid advertising is a huge piece of the arsenal for getting your songs out there, and there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. So become a student of it and start using it today. Next tip, submit your music for editorial consideration. What is editorial consideration? It's the playlists on Spotify. Use the playlist pitch tool in the Spotify for Artists app. To be featured on major Spotify editorial playlists, you have to be selected by a human curator. How the curators discover new releases is through the Spotify playlist pitch tool. Use it. Do your homework on the relevant playlist that your release would be a good fit for. Don't just choose all of the big ones. A big part of this is knowing your lane and your genre and where your song fits in the landscape of all those playlists. If you use the Spotify playlist pitch tool, it does not guarantee that you'll get on editorial playlists, but I can almost guarantee that you won't if you don't use this tool, especially if you're a new artist. It's right there in your Spotify for Artists portal, so go use it. One other thing I'd add here is to do what we call grassroots playlist promotion, where you go out and find an independently created playlist out there that is, not affiliated with Spotify, it's just a person who's made it, and do some digging to find their contact info and then reach out to them directly for playlist consideration. I've had some success with this in the past with some of artists that we've been able to work with. Tip number 7, contact music blogs to listen to and review and potentially share and promote your Spotify music and new releases. This will not only build relationships with music bloggers and critics, but will also feed your music to dedicated music lovers. You know who reads music blogs? Dedicated music lovers. People who, when they find something they like, they tell everyone. They tell their friends, they tell their family, they tell their coworkers. I'm sure you know someone like this. So how do you do it? Well, there are plenty of blogs out there like A&R Factory, Indie Shuffle, Extra Wave. Some of these will be genre specific and some will be across the board. On most music blogs, there will be a submit your music option. So once you have music that you know is ready, find the blogs that you would like to be featured on and submit your music. It's important to give them some background on who you are and where the music comes from. If you happen to find some bloggers who will post your music, make sure you develop that relationship. You'll hear me talk about relationships a ton on these videos. Develop the relationship. This can not only be helpful for getting your music out there, but also defining your brand as an artist. Next tip, third-party services. There are plenty of businesses out there and individuals that offer specific and unique services towards marketing your music. Now, one example is DistroKid, which, if you don't know, one of the best music distributors out there offers a feature to their members called Hyperfollow. This is a free service that helps artists amass a larger fan base on Spotify. If you're looking to tell people on social media about your music, instead of sending them right to Spotify, you can just send them to your Hyperfollow page. Fans have the option to follow you, as well as save and pre-save your music on multiple streaming services, not just Spotify. This is also really exciting, but you'll also have access to demographic and listeners' insights and statistics as well through the DistroKid Hyperfollow feature. So that's the DistroKid's Hyperfollow feature. The next thing I want to suggest is independent third-party consultants like Ben Stouffer, who's the former CFO of Data and Analytics for Centricity Music Publishing and founder of Counterpart Music, which is an independent provider who's now offering premium record label services. He provides indie musicians of all genres with record label services, including record release planning, digital marketing, streaming and social media analytics, mechanical royalty administration, digital distribution, and more. Now, this is not an ad, a paid advertisement for Ben Stouffer. There are other people out there like him, but he is a great guy who's doing great work. Also, I'll mention third-party Spotify playlist promoters. You got to be careful here. There are a lot of fake ones to weed through out there, and only the best few actually contact real Spotify playlists. They won't really help you get on actual Spotify editorial playlists in most cases, but they can help with some larger, independently created playlists. So just like with music bloggers, if you come into contact with someone who likes your music and promotes it on their playlist, develop that relationship. Tip number 9, my favorite, collabs with other artists on Spotify, preferably ones who have at least as many listeners as you have or more. This one comes last on our list because if it's possible to gain your monthly listeners on your own with the other steps mentioned before, getting into collaborations are going to be bigger, they're going to be better, you're going to be able to connect with bigger artists. I mentioned earlier, one of the great artists that I work with is a guy named Sam Tenez, but he's been able to build a massive Spotify profile with this being a big part of his strategy, collabs. It also helps him stay on the radar all the time because not only is he promoting the release, the other artist he's collabing with is also promoting to their fan base. So this is a way to leverage other artists' fan bases as well as their Spotify profiles. You do have to make sure that to take advantage of the way Spotify works, that you list it as a featured artist when you go to digitally distribute it. You want to make sure that you are both featured on both performer Spotify pages so that it shows up on both of your main profiles and gets pushed to both artists' release radars. The hip hop world figured this out a long time ago. So go build relationships with other music creators, figure out ways to add value to them, and go do collaboration songs together. They can be songs that you create together or just songs that you bring them in on that you've already created. Ideally, in my opinion, you make the song together, it gets them bought in on it. So that's it, everyone. Those are our 9 tips to gaining a following on Spotify so that ultimately you're getting your music out there for people to listen. And if you have any releases coming up, we want you to put the link below in the comments. We'd be happy to check it out and see what you got and see if there's any way for us to help you with this process. That's why we do what we do. Also, I've made a downloadable PDF for you guys. This is an A to Z checklist of these 9 tips we just went over for you to go through so you're sure that you're using all the tools at your disposal to be gaining that Spotify following you hope to achieve. And as always, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. We get so much joy out of bringing you content that will help you in your music career. And we love to see you guys coming back for more.